Hello again. Are you here to listen to my story once again? How lovely. I am Vanessa Helsing, a bounty hunter, a cultural influencer, and most of all, an adventurer of great repute. I'm also sometimes hired as a covert operative agent to investigate the supernatural. Many of my adventures involve the eerie and strange, which would unsettle even the most skeptical individuals. So hear my story carefully. It all started off when I received a tip-off from one of my many August friends about the strange occurrences on a mysterious island off the coast of England. The note mentioned about possible occult black magic at play. As always, the story seemed too good to miss out on. So I decided to investigate this mystery, armed with my special suit and a P50 revolver, specially designed to tactically resolve conflicts with sassy swiftness. The only ferry to the Isle timed once every week from a remote hamlet close to South Shields dropped me off at a dock that seemed deserted. There were a few casino machines still at work, but no one answered my calls at the harbor master's office. I waited there for an odd hour in vain. Thereafter, I decided to move on and make my way into the town and investigate it. I navigated through a thicket, seeing some buildings nearby. I carefully approached the nearest building. Anything could be lurking in the shadows, and I had to be prepared, without alarming the residents. As I came close enough, I could make out the place to be some kind of a bar. I could make out a strange bartender too through the windows. The board outside read, Oliver's Tavern. I wondered why that name sounded familiar. I stood outside the tavern and looked inside. The place seemed remarkable with many amenities and decorations. I could not make out anything alarming or dangerous. Most of all, I observed the bartender at work. There was even a peculiarly short barmaid, a kind of a dwarf woman. Having ascertained the place to be safe, I decided to enter and have a conversation with the ladies.
We have a visitor.
Looks like scallywags have started visiting us now, eh?
Good evening, ladies.
All good, Mum. What would you like to have?
How about I like to have a nice chat?
Nice chat, you say? Where from do you come? We ain't got so many visitors around here. Ye ain't look like from around here either.
I am Vanessa Helsing. You have perhaps heard of me. I come from a very far-away place and am a tourist here.
Tourist, eh? I dunny about that.
I happen to notice some paintings on the walls. Those look old. Where did you get those?
That's heirloom or whatever you mainlanders call them. Ye can take a look.
What a strange creature. Her hands look tasty.
I looked at the pictures very carefully. There was nothing unusual about them. But I did feel some prying eyes behind me. I cared not. Then, I happened to notice the picture of the German ambassador, Sebastian von Hesse, from the 18th century. As looked at the picture, much to my horror, I picked up the eyes of the ambassador move, track me, as if I were to be watched always. I had an unsettling feeling in my stomach when I turned to ask the bartender about it. Missy? Where did that woman go?
Which woman? There is no woman. There never was one, miss.
I looked at her in disbelief. I was now determined to find the whereabouts of the bartender. Just as I was about to leave, I noticed the door to the backyard open and close of its own. To my surprise, the barmaid did not seem to mind it. I thought it may be best if I fit in and pretend everything was normal. Deep within my mind, This experience of mine only confirmed that something eerie was definitely going on this isle. And if my name were Vanessa, I would not rest even in hell until I solved this one. So I ventured outside, wary of the strange looks from the barmaid behind me. I happened upon a cheese shop with fresh cheese for sale. It seemed that the shopkeeper, however, was gone. As I looked around the town, I had this feeling of being watched, but could not sight a single living soul around me. As I walked further, I came to realize that the people in the town had, perhaps, disappeared, leaving behind whatever it is that they were doing at that point of time. But given the remoteness of this place, there had to be somewhere where people had to go. I pressed on further and happened upon a cottage of a witch. As I stood there, strange images appeared before my mind. I had this feeling of as if I had been here before and that all of this was not real. I saw images of speaking to a witch and having my fortune told, and the next moment, it was gone. I continued walking through the town and came upon a shanty. I entered the place, curious as it seemed unfurnished and untouched. I found a singular couch on the scene next to a fireplace that was doused not so long ago. I felt that the fireplace was of place. Perhaps there was something behind it. Something like a tunnel that could lead me to the source of this mystery. As I began to examine the chimney shaft, I saw a shadow at the window. I armed my gun and went after the shadow. After a long chase, I happened upon a lighthouse, the last seen location of the shadow. I held my gun out and slowly climbed up the tortuous staircase expecting an ambush. To my chagrin, I was only welcomed by the great sea that the lighthouse overlooked. After confirming that I was safe, I looked over at the horizon. In the distance, I could make out the silhouette of a ship approaching the island, a dilapidated ship from bygone medieval times. A strange fog seemed to come along with the ship, slowly approaching the isle. It was at this moment that I heard some whispers and moans in the town below. I turned around and looked. Much to my surprise, the town seemed bustling with activity. I took a closer look at them and realized that they were not people. At least, not anymore. Worst of all, the zombies had seen me and started to invade the lighthouse. I took out my gun and fired upon the zombies. They merely flinched to my bullets. I emptied my ammo in no time, with several zombies still left standing. I panicked and closed the door of the lighthouse and looked around for possible escape routes. Sooner than I had expected, I could hear the zombies punching the door. It seemed that my only options were to jump into the sea waters or fight the zombies in vain and join them. What I did not know is, the zombies were not my only nemesis there. As I contemplated jumping into the sea waters, I felt a hand on my face, gagging me. I tried to fight back, but found myself going dizzy. Very soon, the lights went out and I did not remember much. Until I woke up at the tavern, with a cup of coffee and an unremarkable gentleman before me who smiled back spontaneously. He told that I was asleep for a long time and was sleep talking. Alarmed, I looked around me. The bartender was not gone, the portraits were as they should be, and as I looked out, it was a bright sunny day. Most of all, my gun was still on me, loaded. I excused myself and went to the bar and read the newspaper. I was surprised to see that an entire day had passed since I got here. Perhaps I was just tired. So I decided to go outside for a walk when I happened upon two strange individuals. They spoke obnoxiously about some campfire nearby. I decided to follow them and join them. They welcomed me and I narrated my experience to them. I wanted to find out if they could make something of it. And so, that's what happened.
Why, you've been robbed, miss. Robbed of your sanity. You should spend your time in our infirmary and we will fix you up in no time.
Shut up, dear. Don't speak out it. She has to go back to wherever she came from.
I swear it was so real. I don't think it was a dream.
Are you be done? Ye need them treatment. We be telling the doctor about this.
Ho ho, so we have another spooked out visitor. Are ye sure it was not some cat that scared ya? We ain't got ghosts around here. Ye must be dreamin'. We have strange visitors who tell us strange stories. But no one lives forever in this town. No one.
They don't?
Miss, you need a ferry back home? I can help you for really cheap pennies. How about that?
Oh, that would be lovely. If there is no problem here, then I guess I am not needed. I better put myself where I am needed. I then changed the topic and told them of my other adventures. After a long night of chat, I took the ferry offered by Miss Flo as it seemed cheap. I had a feeling that something was amiss, but I could not quite point my finger at it. But I calmed myself and promised to return once again as I set sail to home.
So she has come to pry into my affairs inside my town. And she thought she would get away with it. Vanessa Helsing, you have turned out to be quite clever indeed. But no one messes with Morgan Le Fay in you. Off and away with you, Helsing.